Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. It is season 4, it is our second episode, and our first interview of the year. Welcome, ladies from Parker, Woodland.
Great to be
Hi.
here.
We
Hi.
love it. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Keri and Erin from Austin, Texas. If anybody, as you know, that anyone that listens to this podcast or watches, I am a huge fan of Austin, Texas, as well as South by Southwest, which you both have a key part in coming up this year. So let's talk about first, Keri, your story about getting to Austin, and then Erin, your story of being here in Austin.
Yeah, so I moved here in 1992 from Southern California. I was in an all-girl band there at the time, late 90s. Actually, all through, not late 80s through the early 90s. And we wanted to get out of California at that time. And the lead singer looked around at some different cities we were considering and said, hey, we're moving to Austin. I did come a little kicking and screaming. I was very much into my Southern California perfect weather, thing, but picked up and moved here. And we left, oddly enough, we left California New Year's Day of 92. We played a big show, a New Year's Eve show, went home, slept a couple hours, and got up in the morning and drove. We just took an extra day because we had a U-Haul, a truck pulling a trailer, our animals, you name. We had 4 people, 2 kids. It was a lot, to go across the country. I'm kind of kicking and screaming some, and then we pulled into town January 3rd, and it looked a lot different than it does now. It definitely wasn't as big and built up. But that's how I got to Austin, and I have been here ever since.
Yeah, and we're so glad she made it.
Yay, me too.
I was born and raised in Austin and have lived most of my life here, although I went to college at Northwestern in Evanston, and then came home to Austin, was here for a few years, and then went back to Chicago for 5-6 years. I played in a band up there called the Hidden Mitten, and I sang in a punk rock a cappella group called the Blue Ribbon Glee Club, which was super fun. But I've been back in Austin now for 13 years. And Keri and I have been playing music together almost that whole time. Like, we met not that long after I got back. So yeah, glad you're here, babe.
Yeah, me too.
So then how did that 13 years of playing together evolve into Parker Woodland?
Yeah. So, funnily enough, when I moved back, I had a 2-year-old and I was pregnant, and I met a woman at the park that said, you got to take your kids to the YMCA. They have childcare, and then you can do what you want. I was like, well, that sounds good. So the day my second one turned 6 weeks old, I went to the childcare at the Y. And shortly after that, someone, I don't know if they picked up on my vibe because I love to dance. And she was like, you've got to come to this dance class. And there I met the lead singer of Butch County, which is the band that Keri and I played about a dozen years together in. And so we knew that we made a great rhythm section together. We got along awesome. So then when Parker Woodland, which is the band that I founded with some neighbors about 6 years ago, was when we first started jamming. And then about 5 years ago is when we started playing out. We had, I was looking for a new drummer coming out of the pandemic. Things changed for a lot of folks coming out of the pandemic. And there was nobody that I could ask before I could ask Keri. There's no one who loves to play more than Keri. There's no one who crushes like Keri. And so I was just so thankful that she said yes to joining my project.
I was jumping up and down, pick me, pick me. I had no qualms of doing it.
It was so long. Like, it was just so good to play again, right?
Yeah. It was, like you said, coming out of pandemic when no one was doing live music because we couldn't, and everyone was just musically starved. And it was just so great that first time we were finally able to be in the same room and playing. It was just, it was almost like the very first time you get out in public and play, and that excitement. You're kind of nervous, but you have that excitement. It was like new all over again. I mean, I've been playing in a rock band since I was 14. So, but it made it all very new because it had been so distant for that, year or two when COVID was really at its height.
I'm sure it was a cathartic event, right? I mean, like,
absolutely.
Yeah, we played a warm-up show in someone's backyard, and then we played a big show at a venue called Meanwhile Brewing here in Austin, and it was all outdoors at first. But anyway, yeah.
Speaking of Meanwhile Brewing, I did not find out about Meanwhile until last year. My gosh, they have great beer, and what a great venue! Like,
it is a great venue.
Yeah,
great venue.
Yeah, it's pretty new. It started probably right before the pandemic, so yeah, it's a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, because we usually were like Zilker and Jester King. That was like kind of our two spots. But yeah,
you're an expert. For somebody who doesn't live here, I'm very impressed with your Austin knowledge.
I know he was spouting it out earlier.
Well, so like I think like I want you to both speak on like kind of the irony in that, like you said, Austin is like the music capital of the world. During the pandemic, when that's all taken away, like what was the vibe of the city like at that time? Like, can you kind of harken back to that, or like how you guys were feeling individually?
Well, everybody was struggling. It was very hard. There was a lot of grief, and there was a lot of creativity around what we did. So I did virtual concerts with a friend who played acoustic guitar. Parker Woodland's live show is like full on electric, lots of energy, loud. There's a lot of dynamics, but the top dynamic is loud. That doesn't come across as well on Zoom. So I was doing more acoustic stuff with a friend. We did some things like, play for the vote. So like playing acoustic while people are in line to vote, like just lots of creative things. I made a lot of music videos because at that time I was basically Parker Woodland by myself. So I was like, how do I keep this band alive while the potential bandmates are all separated, So I made this music video trilogy that I called Band Life in the Before Times. And it was 3 music videos: The World's on Fire and We Still Fall in Love, Later Than You Think, and Forget Your Face. And they all have footage from different parts of band life that I kind of wanted to memorialize because I wasn't sure like when we'd have it again. So Forget Your Face, I think, has footage from the recording studio. And Later Than We Think has footage from our practice space, which got torn down to become a Tesla showroom. So, it's just like, and then The World's on Fire and We Still Fall in Love was all from a party at my house. And it was the last time that we had people over in my house. And we didn't know at the time that was going to be the case, right? We just thought we were throwing a party for a music video. But then it became this like testament to the community that we hope to get back to someday, but people who I couldn't see for a long time. So it was very heavy. But I also remember Keri having like Butch County, like birthday Zooms where we would like all try to sing happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Any way to stay connected. And, I think that's what everybody was trying to figure out. And luckily we live in this time where we have this social media and these computers and all the stuff that allows us to see each other. And we couldn't touch and be in the same room, but at least we could have some sort of conversations face to face, if you will, albeit through a screen, but it was better than, sitting, cooped up doing puzzles, or walking around the neighborhood, which was fine. But, to have that interaction with even over the screen was, a breath of fresh air, so, and gave you a little bit of light that things were going to be okay. It's going to take some time, but you just had to ride it through. And that's, I think, what we all did. We just all had to do it. I don't think there was really another choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Austin's not Austin without live music. So it was weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'll never forget the first time I heard someone playing live music was someone by themselves in the grocery store. And I just started to cry. Like I took video of her. It was like the first time I had seen and heard someone playing live music, since the pandemic shut down. But anyway, I will also shout out our guitar player, Andrew Solon, who's not on the call. He and I did a lot of our songwriting for our album. There's no such thing as time during that time. And I think it was a fruitful time for songwriters, for a lot of folks. And I was reading books about songwriting constantly. Like there are these books called Songwriters on Songwriting. There's huge 2-volume tome and just interviews with songwriters. So it was also a time of, because of the forced isolation where I felt like I could absorb a lot of inspiration and then be writing a lot. So that was a silver lining at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I mean, the creativity that came out in these past 2 years, I mean, you can just see it. I mean, just some great, great music and some of the best music of like the bands and artists that, put out that stuff. So, but yeah, the other cool thing about, I don't know if you guys remember if you're Death Cab fans or not, but Ben Gibbard did those like in-home like studio performances,
Mm-hmm.
and he would do like an all cover set. He did like I think a Beatles like cover set, like, and then
Yeah.
he would do like his stuff, and like I would really look forward to that. And like I'm a huge Radiohead fan, so like they released a bunch of like live shows like on YouTube, like that they premiered. So it
Yeah.
wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
Jackie Vinson from Austin became really, blew up with her virtual stuff too.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to listen to her. I'm not familiar with her.
Oh, I think you'll dig her. She's great.
Yeah, nice. So Austin itself, let's get back to the city. From a music venue standpoint, I know a lot have closed over the years, but like, what's left? Like, talk about some of the music venues for people that have never been to Austin.
Ooh. Keri, do you want to say any of your faves?
Oh boy. Radio East. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, what a great live venue. That is awesome. And I do enjoy Meanwhile, that stage, being a
Mm-hmm.
performer and having, especially being a drummer, loading on and off. It's just the easiest accessible stage.
Right.
But I think probably up there, and I love the Mohawk. I love playing at Mohawk. That place is great. It's hard to find a bad place, really. I mean,
I think our attitude is like there's something to love about all kinds of places.
Yeah.
Austin is just there's so many venues and so like you can have a dive bar, you can have a small stage if you're just starting out. There's room for bands and artists at all levels, right? Like Parker Woodland, we sold out the small room at Mohawk and ended up adding a second night for our album release. And so, we hope that by the time our next album comes around, we'll be on the big stage at Mohawk. There's ways to grow up, and, there's ACL Live where they do the tapings. And, I'm friends with the guys in the band Explosions in the Sky, which are from Austin, but they're a huge international act, and got to see them come home and play ACL Live this past year. And that was beautiful. So, I'm trying to think, we do stuff at the Hole in the Wall. We're doing our residency right now at Hotel Vegas, which we love. Can't wait to find out where we're going to be for South by Southwest. We're official artists again. And so, we're putting together our South by Southwest like day party schedule. That's the other cool thing, right? Dog, when South by happens, everything's a venue.
right.
The library's a venue, that convenience store's a venue, so it's fun.
Yeah, the two
And I
craziest.
took it for granted. Sorry, I'll just say real quick.
Yeah.
I took it for granted being born and raised here. I didn't, sorry, I didn't understand that not every place is like this. And then I went, I left and I was like, oh, it's pretty special.
Yeah, and just the festival itself. I mean, I don't know of any other music festival in this country where you can literally listen to music from 6 in the morning, like with the morning, the
Yeah.
radio shows, which we always do,
Mhm.
and then
Right.
literally until the bars close at 2 in the morning. I mean, it's
And then you'll
20
have,
hours of music. It's crazy.
yeah, and then you'll have middle of the night, like rogue shows on a bridge or under a bridge. I mean, you could do 24/7.
Well,
Yeah.
and let's just talk about at the air. You fly in for the event, and there's a live band playing in the airport. So, I mean, whether you're coming or going, it's going to be everywhere that you go. You're going to find it.
Yeah. I think the three most unique places that I've seen a South by show, whether it was official or unofficial, was there's a hat shop down on South Congress Street, and we all sat like on the floor and watched Jared and the Mill play like they're like right in the middle of the store. Like that was unique. And then we saw Bright Light Social Hour at some t-shirt factory in like way East Austin, and they played on the back of a pickup truck, and
Yeah.
like they brought like kegs of beer, so like we're drinking in the parking lot. It was like awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
wonder
then
if that was FSG. They're one of the ones that were on the list to play their day party. And we just did a show with Bright Light Social Hour at Radio East, the venue that Keri's talking about. They're so great. We're doing some like promotional work with them too. Love those guys.
yeah, they are so talented. Their last album is so good. And then the last place is we saw this Montreal artist, I forget his name, Michael Renaud, I think, in a flower shop, like literally surrounded by flowers, and they just set up in the corner, and there you go.
We did our single release party for our single makeup at a wig shop at Coco Coquette because the song is about being yourself and it's called Makeup. So it's like a makeup and wig shop. And that was a blast.
Yeah.
So you kind of have then video kind of skills, or did you have somebody help out, or yeah, like how does that go? Like
The
talk
video
about that
for makeup?
process. Yeah.
We try to work with friends on video projects. Yeah, when I said I made videos during the pandemic, for example, I gathered footage and, had concepts and then worked with another musician as an editor. Another time I had a friend's son who was like a high school senior and, into video editing, do it. Obviously like indie rock, you're working on a budget. One of our favorites most recently, Keri and I were like the crew on the video for Stranger, which we love, and we're entering in some music video like film festival contests. So we don't do it all by ourselves. We definitely hire people, but we try to hire other like local creatives to team up.
Gotcha. So you talked about the process of like scheduling yourself for day parties. Can you kind of walk us through that, like what that like entails?
Yeah. Really, we start putting out feelers back like in December, November, reaching out to friends who we've done stuff with before, sending messages to all the venues. But it's also great to keep an eye on Instagram for like the promoters and the bands and the venues and the things that you like. So like, for example, Howdy Gals Presents. It's a queer and women-led promoter here in Austin, and they've got like a form. A lot of it's relationship though. I mean, I'm the lead singer and the bass player, but also basically the band manager. And so I'm reaching out to like my contacts and, putting it out there. So right now we've got this like calendar Tetris going where today at practice, I said to Keri and Andrew, I was like, can we talk about the South by calendar? How much are we up for, et cetera? And so hopefully we'll have a big poster full of dates for day parties. The rules, of course, are that we can only play when you're official. You can't play at night because they don't want you to compete with your South by slot, which we don't want to do that either. But there's lots, like you said, you could play all the day parties in the world. So yeah, it's a lot of relationship, a lot of staying on it, a lot of multiple emails. We ended up playing KUTX Rock the Shores, which was a big stage last year because of a long growing relationship we have with one of the DJs there, Bill Childs from Spare the Rock, Spoil the Child. And so it's like nurturing those relationships. And a lot of that is also going out and being part of the scene, supporting other bands, going to when the radio stations have their own like shows and parties. Like it's really an ecosystem and almost like an extended family in the Austin music scene. So I really, care deeply about supporting it. And so that sometimes that comes back your way when it comes to booking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's well said. And I think that is kind of I think in this day and age where there's so much volume, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's, where it's anywhere, like in your town itself, that is kind of the way you kind of, carve your niche. You have to get your name out there and, meet people. So yeah, well done.
Thanks. Thanks.
When,
Well,
when do
go
when do
ahead.
you feel like you kind of like grasped that like idea and notion and then kind of implemented it?
That's a great question. I mean, that's kind of a core for me. I've always my jobs and my work have always been about people. I was a journalist, and so interviewing people, listening to their stories, and it's just I think any profession almost will tell you that it's about relationships. So that's always been key to me. But also, like we love music, right, Keri? Like we
I mean,
love
yeah,
to cheer on our friends.
yeah.
So it's just it's all out of love, really. Yeah, and we've got a long way to go, but we've also come a long way,
Mhm.
with that ethic at the heart of it.
Yeah. So let's talk about for both of you, how do you, and it's such a cliche word, but I think it is kind of important. Like, how do you balance your work life balance? How do you balance your work life with music, and for you, Aaron, with, having a family as well?
Yeah, I'll let Keri go first because I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, you got the floor, Gary. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, the easier part on my end is I don't have human children. I have furry, but I don't have human children, so I don't have to worry about that aspect. And I don't know when Erin sleeps. I'm still trying to figure it out, 12 years later. But it is with my schedule, I do shift work. So I only work a certain amount of days a month with, days off and stuff. So I do a lot of when I need to trading shifts, taking them off. If there's something that, hey, this is a huge show like this Saturday at Sonic Guild, that's a shift for me, but sorry, I've got, and I've been there long enough and everybody knows, nobody questions me. And I just work around doing what I need to do to make music is my thing. It is who I am at my core and my being. I've been a musician since I was 8 years old. I never had another life plan, right? So I would just be not who like my real self if I couldn't play, right? So that is very important to me. So I make it work as much as I possibly can. Every now and then I just can't make it happen. And Erin's been really, really good about, all right, we just either, won't do that or, come up with something else. But for the most part, I can make it happen because it is so important. And I believe so much in this band. I believe in Erin. I believe in her songs. I believe in Andrew and his skills and everything and what he brings to the table, which is a lot. And Erin will get into that. But it is just, I wouldn't put in the effort if I didn't think it was worth it. Right. And so this is definitely worth it. I love it. And I love, like she said, I love playing. I love playing live. It is who I feel like that is who I am when I'm playing live. That is true me. That is who you're seeing, true down to my, little cells and everything. But there's no better feeling for me than playing live. It is just, I love it.
Yeah. Well said, Keri. And for me, well, first of all, the band has a Google Calendar. My family has a Google Calendar, where my job has a Google Calendar. We're very fortunate that we're a trio and everybody has schedules that they control to at least some extent. And, I could probably be making more money if I was in a job that made me work 60 hours a week, but I that's not the kind of job I have. It's flexible. So the answer I give everyone is I don't clean, I sleep, but my house is pretty messy. But you know what? I'm choosing my priorities in life. And this band is a very, very high priority for me. I think there was something else I'm going to tell you about that. But anyway, I do sleep. And that's where my energy has to come from. Like we have to take care of ourselves. We are committed to this band for the long haul. So we got to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, so how tough is it for you guys to, you know, I don't want to say turn down, but like, a lot of times when fans, come see you, like they want to like party afterwards and, they don't realize like that, hey, this is also my job and I have something else to do like the next morning. Like, is that a difficult, like, do you have difficult transitions with that or not really that you have to deal with that?
Well, when I was in my early 20s in my first band, I definitely partied more than I do now.
Mm.
Um, and I do like to hang out and have fun after shows, but because we really are working so hard right now, we're songwriting, we're promoting, we're playing, yeah, it's not quite the rock and roll lifestyle that you might have heard. But for example, this morning I went to a core exercise class, and I was walking through the YMCA and this guy on the elliptical goes, "How does it feel?" And I knew what he was getting at, but I pretended I didn't. But then he goes, I was like, "What?" And he was like, "To be a rock star." And I was like, it's a lot of work. I love it. I love it. And it's a lot of work. So anyway, no, I don't really feel like people know who we are. We're not putting out that stay up till 6 a.m. energy, I'm afraid. We're
Well,
leaving it all on the stage. Let's put
right,
it that
right.
way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of like you feel the same way, Carrie?
Oh yeah. I mean, we were chatting earlier before we went on, it's like my mind still thinks, oh yeah, no problem. And my body's like, no, no, I'm not, I did that, in my 20s and the bands I was in, we would play 5, 6 nights a week, 4 or 5 sets a night. You'd get home at 4 a.m., go to bed, get up at 8 and go to work and be perfectly functional. And then you'd stay up all that night and do it all over again. And it just is that there is no way. Yeah, there's just a point in my life now where that's a little much now, but
I will say this.
yeah.
I will say this, Keri. I can't wait until we're able to go out on the road for like a week or two or longer tour, like go tour in Europe, all this. I see that on our horizon I don't know about for this record, but maybe the next record. But I think this band is like going to be well suited for that. But right now we've just been touring Texas. But anyway, that's the fun I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that like band road trip.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So you kind
Because
of
we do. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You're good.
No, but Dogg, we like to, when we do the couple times we played up in Dallas and everything, we're driving home at 1 a.m. or whatever, but we are blasting our 80s rock and Aaron and I, poor Andrew's in the back, I know, just rolling his eyes hard. And Aaron and I are in front. I'm driving, Aaron's, in the passenger seat, and we are just blasting our 80s rock and the Warrior, Scandal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we were just like, oh, this is our era. This is so great. That music was so fantastic, and we do have fun. We still have fun. A little more tired the next day. It's not as easy to, recover, but yeah, we still have fun.
So is there anything that if Andrew was on right now and I asked him, Andrew, is there one thing about each one of them that just drives you crazy? Would he have an answer for me?
Okay, wow, this is a fun one. I can't wait to tell him about this question because here's something about Andrew. He likes to think about things and really like prepare. So he's had me like test run questions for interviews, like in the car and stuff like that. He's a very, very thoughtful person. He's an incredible guitar player, and writer and friend and bandmate. And what would it, I mean, like, I think if he would love it if I could not cry, because it makes him sad if I cry. And like sometimes in the creative process, that's a way my eyes respond to, and I think because he cares about us, he doesn't like to see me cry. So, but I've had to tell him, like, as we're working on writing the second album, like, I'm sorry, I know you would like this next one to have no tears, but I can't promise you that. So that might be one answer. Keri?
Oh gosh. Probably listen to him a little bit more. Only when I can be very hard headed, especially when we're all sitting down and practicing, and it's a new, we're trying to figure out parts, and I have this drum part, and I'm like, oh, I'm so in love with this drum part, and he's like, I have an idea. And he likes to, I have an idea. What about doing this? I'm like, no, so, but, then, we'll try it and it either works or it doesn't. But, and he's like, okay, that's fine, but can we just try it once? I was like, all right, I'll try it once, so, but, he's a good sport. He puts up a lot. I mean, he's married and then he's got us. So it's just, he has to deal with a lot. But like Erin was saying, he is awesome. He is so talented, and he is very, very, serious when it comes to the nitpicky, and that is maybe too harsh of a word, but
details
the detail
make it
detail oriented.
Yeah.
I mean, in the big picture. So, which is great because that's what another thing that he brings, right? So, I would have never thought of that, but you make a good point. Let's work on that, or let's talk about that. So, the attention is in the details, and he's got that one down.
Yeah. We're working on our collaboration. We love you, Andrew.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Erin, you spoke about working on the second album. How has this process so far been different than the first album?
Yeah, so for the first album, that was our first full length. Parker Woodland had 2 EPs and some singles before that. And the first 2 EPs, I wrote all those songs really by myself. I mean, once they became the fully fleshed out songs, my bandmates were a part of that, but I really brought them in, and no one analyzed or critiqued my lyrics. We did a little bit of arranging stuff, and I was a first-time songwriter. I had been the bass player in people's bands for 20 years before Parker Woodland. This was my first time as a songwriter, as a lead singer, like something I had longed for my whole life sparked and opened up in me through this, like, getting together with friends and neighbors and just this band kind of happening organically. So when the time came to find like committed new bandmates in the pandemic or emerging from the pandemic, and I was introduced to Andrew by a producer friend. I mean, Andrew is such a pro, and we were strangers. So we had to learn to become bandmates, to become friends. And he brought in some guitar stuff that became songs, and I like wrote to. I brought in some songs that we kind of worked on together. And then there were some that we started from scratch together, all of which we then eventually brought to Keri. But so there's different ways that the first album happened along this path of really becoming a band and becoming co-writers. Now this second album, we're trying to be intentional about how we write. We're studying some of our favorite producers. We're talking about what our favorite albums are. We're watching videos where like writers and producers talk about their album and sort of talking about the positive elements of their relationship and how we want to be as well. Like we're really being kind of students of collaboration, because like I said, we really see this band as having longevity, and we're trying to build and grow along the way. So for this, so far what's happening is Andrew's been writing a lot of really incredible guitar parts. I've been writing to go with them a little bit, but because I'm the band manager and we're still promoting our first album, it's only been out a few months, my bandwidth to be doing a ton of like deep soulful lyric writing and all of that is not as great as his to be writing guitar parts right now, but I'm just trusting, and he's kind of building up this glorious Google Drive, the rock and roll Google Drive. So anyway, that's where we are right now, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm just looking forward to hopefully getting through this period of the residency, the Sonic Guild, the South by Southwest, and then trying to carve some time to really shape up what that second album is going to be.
And how do you feel, Keri? You're going to so far, the process, how has that changed for you?
I'm a little bit more involved. When I joined in with Erin, she had already been hanging out with Andrew, that relationship had already started being nurtured and everything. So at that point in time, this last album, the There's No Such Thing in Time, they sent me the demos that they had created together with the lyrics and everything. And I just sat down and came up with the drum parts. But this time, we're getting together in the practice space with a very, very raw, baby being birthed, version of these songs. And it's like, well, for now, we're going to call it this title. I don't know if that's going to end up being the name, and so then they'll play it for me. And then I'm like, okay, so it's more involved in the actual whole process, than kind of coming in after the fact with the stuff pretty much ready for just at the addition of drums. So that has been an awesome process to see, because I am not a songwriter. So to see both what Erin lyrically and stuff comes up with to what Andrew's, awesome melody lines and the things he thinks of, and being at the, core and the root of that it has been really awesome. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, with regards to then the first album, in this day of digital music, where everybody wants to release singles and EPs and all this stuff, was there any thought to do just like another EP, or was it very important to do a full length album?
Yeah, Andrew and I had serious conversations about that, because I certainly could have easily been talked into an EP and singles and stuff like that, but he really had strong feelings about an album. And I think now all three of us really land there. I love listening to songwriting podcasts and music podcasts. And, the greats always talk about, even today, that an album is what has the most lasting impact. And I think about I love the Chapel Roan album. I love Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. I love lots of indie rock stuff. Keri and I could list all of our favorite 70s, 80s, 90s. We have broad influences, but albums still stand the test of time. So while there was early debate, I can remember specific phone calls about this whole singles, EPs, whatnot. I think we're pretty proudly pro album now.
Yes.
Yeah, I had actually a pop artist on, and his record label encouraged him to, instead of doing a 12-song album, to release a song a month, and that you would get more streams doing that per song than if you released an entire album.
Yeah,
so
and I don't think personally, I don't think. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Every artist is going to have their own way of doing it, and this is just what feels creatively, fruitful for us. And we will still release, we released 3 singles before the album came out, but the album was done and it was a cohesive piece of art for us. And then we chose what singles were going out.
Yeah. Well, speaking of singles, your Christmas single, Holidays in Austin, you guys released, was that in November, or did you release it in December?
It came out on streaming, I think, December 6th.
Okay. Talk about the inspiration, talk about the song itself.
So that was a total surprise to all of us.
Yeah. Yes.
First of all, not everyone in this band grew up even celebrating Christmas. We have religious diversity in this band. So that's why it's a holiday song, number one. When the lyrics came down to it, I tried to at least have a broad sense of the holiday season. But we were playing a Fox morning show, and they asked us if we had a holiday song to play, and it could be a cover or it could be an original. I sent Andrew the 5 holiday songs that I would be interested in doing, and he was like, I don't like any of those. And he was like, I don't even really like holiday music. And then the next thing I knew, he sent me the beginnings of this song, and I really liked it. He said, go to town on the lyrics. So I wrote the lyrics, and then we brought it to Keri, who then said,
this is a punk song. speed this thing up, because when I first heard it, like, I loved it, the melody. And so I'm, again, let me play along with what you have, but it was much slower. And then Andrew left to, go in the kitchen or something. And I looked at Erin, I'm like, let's just play it sped up really quick, because I hear it more, as a faster tempo. And so we did. And then when Andrew walked in, it's like, just humor us for a minute. And we play it a little more up tempo. And that's because I just heard it at this short little, 90 seconds.
It's not even, it's like
Austin. I mean, it was, I'm like, no, and it worked out and then it sounded so much better. And he was like, yeah, you're right. This does sound good.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when I said to him, like, I don't know how this could be faster. And then he immediately started playing it. And I was like, oh, okay. It helps, it helps to, sometimes you can't see what another person can see. But so we played it on the TV show. That was like the first time. We had written it like 2 days before.
2 days before.
Then after we did it on the TV show, I was like, you guys, I would really like to record this. I really like it. So we got a day with Ice Cream Factory Studios. That's where we've been doing some recording, knocked it out. We're on Flack Records and our label was excited to put it out. And then I made that little lyric video and Andrew made the cover art. And so it was a real quick, like, from the day the invitation happened to the day it got like mastered was like 9 days. But we love it.
But Erin, hold on, Dogg. Let's clear something up here, okay? So, Erin, I think after we played it on the air, it wasn't, I would like to record this. It was like, we need to record this. We need to get this recorded. We need to have it out before the holidays, which means we got to get in the studio now. I'm gonna call Matt and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, absolutely. So it was Erin pushing us we have to get that out and soon. And we went in the studio in the morning and it was done in the afternoon, mixed, sent off to mastering, and boom, boom, boom.
I might have been motivated. Yes.
Motivated. She was very.
Up until that point, Erin, had you ever had that feeling about another song that you guys had co-wrote or that he had written?
That was absolutely the fastest we've done anything. And I really, as a journalist originally, I like to say I'm deadline driven. I'm like, I'm not a procrastinator. I'm deadline driven. So if you tell me like, hey, if you want to get a holiday song out in time for the holidays, you got to record it now. I'm like, Keri, Andrew, let's look at the Google Calendar. Let's go.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely fits as a pop punk song. Like you definitely, Keri, I think knew what you were talking about, and too, like I said to you before we started recording, I love the touch that you shouted out so many landmarks in Austin during the song. Like you said, as short of the song it was, as many landmarks you were able to spit out there. And
well, and that means a lot to me that someone like you who doesn't live in Austin still resonated with it, and because it's kind of you're like, well, maybe people will like it in Austin. I don't know if people like it other places, but hopefully like the spirit of it will speak to people. And of course, lots of people have been to Austin, so they know the Zilker Tree or they know Barton Springs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My buddy, when he went to Austin in October, I think. Yeah. He took some mushrooms and went to Barton Springs and had a blast.
As you do. Yes.
That's very Austin. It's very Austin.
Well, and Andrew had a concept for that song that was kind of like a holiday love story. And I could imagine writing something a lot of holiday songs, that's what they are. They're a love story set at the holidays. And for me, I just shifted it a little bit to make it like a love letter to Austin at the holidays, which is what resonated for me. Because I also was just tired of traveling and I was really looking forward to just being home for the holidays this year. So.
Well, also too, I think people generally don't think of like Austin and the holidays, like you're not getting snow, you're not getting, it's not Aspen or,
Right.
I'm excited, Keri, that we have this song that we could just play every holiday season forever.
It is, wasn't it? wasn't it your husband, Erin, that likened it, saying it is the Mariah Carey of Austin?
Oh,
Wasn't it, Patrick?
yeah, he said, he says, you're the Mariah Carey of Austin now. And I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah, I would take that too.
So much like her holiday song, it has been put in the freezer, and we will take it out and thaw it out, beginning of November, and we'll get that out going again.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, maybe you can, be part of like the annual Austin holiday show.
I hope so. Yeah, trust me. We will be working on it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about another great organization, especially for artists and bands, Sonic Guild. How you guys got involved with them, and talk about like for people who aren't familiar with them.
Sure. So Sonic Guild is a nonprofit here in Austin, and I think it's like 13 years old or so, and they have members, who contribute financially, and then they put on showcases with independent artists, local artists throughout the year, and then the members get to vote on giving grants to those artists. And then they do a big the Sonic Guild Ball. It used to be called Black Fret. Some people would know it by its original name, but it's called Sonic Guild now. And so there's a big ball at the end of the year. It's now in January. It's coming up. And so a lot of the artists who get the grants get to play. And so then it's both. It's financially wonderful for the artists, and you get like legitimate exposure to your peers who are kind of leveling up in the music scene here, and all the kind of movers and shakers and people who are just music lovers. So I heard about it a few years ago from a friend, and it was one of the goals that I set for Parker Woodland when the pandemic hit. So I started like asking friends who had received the grants before about their experience and how they did it. And so been working toward it for about 3 years. And then we found out just a few weeks ago that we're getting one of the grants and we're playing the ball. So we're so excited.
So where is the ball? Where did they have the ball at?
It's been a few different places. It was at the Paramount Theater, which lots of folks know. It's been at ACL Live for the last few years. And now it's going to be at the Long Center downtown, which is a beautiful theater. So we're looking forward to punk rocking this beautiful theater that often has ballet and things like that.
Yeah. So you guys did the KUTX show on the shores last year during South by. What other shows then, day parties, or what other stuff did you do last year then?
We did the Chicken Ranch Records day party at Hole in the Wall, which was super fun. That was with P-Lander Z and lots of fun bands. And Keri, I know we did other stuff, but I was trying to think the other day and my brain could only remember.
We did that backyard party one for oh man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was like the queer backyard party. Yeah. Super fun. We've done that for a couple years. You know, being part of the queer music scene in Austin is also really important to us. And so it was we did 3 this year. I expect we're going to play quite a bit more. But it was great. And I also loved going to the panels. Like I met with people who do licensing of music for film, and just went to different kinds of industry stuff as well, which is great for emerging artists, especially.
Yeah. The only stain last year was the whole controversy with the whole sponsorships, because I had a lot of bands that were on my radar that backed out. So I'm glad that I think we can put that past us for this year's festival. I mean, being down there, talk about that and talk about kind of the backlash that you guys kind of heard.
Yeah, that was hard. We talked about it as a band. For me as a native Austinite, I was going to South by Southwest as a teenager when the wristbands were like $10 at the grocery store. So it was a lifelong dream, really, to be an official artist in the fest. And that would have been really, really hard to give up. And not that I wouldn't have if I felt that there was like a really like clear-cut reason for us to drop out. Instead, what we did, because part of our thing is, we were supporting our song Makeup, which is a trans rights anthem and a human rights anthem. And so, we're using our platform to draw attention to causes that are really important to us. But we also gave money proceeds from some of those shows to other causes related to, the issues that were going on at the time. So we tried to do what we could in a positive way with our platform.
Keri, you want to speak on that at all?
I think she nailed it on the head. We did talk about it, and we all agreed on the same thing. Let's help, give back in some way, shape, or form. So I think we were all on the same page.
Yeah.
And I will say that, it was tough. And I have bands who did pull out, who I love and respect very much. And so I just think that there are various ways that artists can make a positive impact. And that's, very important to us. And that's something that is a part of our musical life all year round. I did a post on our website where I listed all of the benefits and organizations that we supported through our shows this year. And it was way longer than I even realized. The list was 15 organizations or something. So I am really proud of the way Parker Woodland uses our music for good.
Yeah, one of my favorite venues in Austin is Cheer Up Charlie's. They know how to party.
Well, you asked about venues. We definitely should have mentioned that. We just played there and it was awesome. We love it over there.
Yeah.
That outdoor stage is great.
I'm really hoping. Yeah, that's where we played. Butch County had its farewell show. And so Keri and I had 2 sets that night. We played with Butch County. We played with Parker Woodland that night for the farewell. But we are talking with them about a possible day party during South by. So stay tuned.
That would be awesome. That would definitely be awesome. So let's talk about the residency at Hotel Vegas. Again, one of my favorite venues right on East 6th Street, obviously not, in the heart of everything, but how did that come about? And, talk about that experience so far.
Well, we've just done one. We've got 3 more to go as of this conversation. And it's being put on by the Nothing Song, which is Trish Connolly's booking company. Love working with female business owners. Trish books great shows. So I have just, Parker Woodland played at Hotel Vegas once right before the pandemic hit. The punk side of us, really, that's a good fit. Our band, when you listen to our record, we have everything from ballads to epic psych rock type stuff to fun, punkier, shorter stuff. And so we can play in a lot of different venues. Andrew and I even do acoustic sets when Keri is out of town or something, and there's something we really want to do. So we have a lot of range. But Hotel Vegas is just a great place for a rock band to be. And so, just been staying in touch with Trish. And actually one of the shows that first show we played, there was a women's march benefit, 5 years ago or something. So anyway, just staying in touch and just saying, once we got through our album release, which was a big thing in the fall, just a lot going on in the fall. I said, what could we do to take it up one more notch in the new year? And it was let's get a residency someplace that we love. And so it's been fun. What do you think, Keri?
Samesies. I mean, it was the fall was a lot, right? Especially September when the album came out. We were playing a lot of shows. The weekend it came out, we played 3, 4, we had 2 in one day. We had the in-store, then we went
to
Waterloo in-store to the Mohawk. The next day we were at Mohawk. Then Sunday we did another show. So it was a lot, so to have, be able to do, because I took a little break right at the holidays, especially Christmas. And then just to come back and rather than settle into 2025, we just hit it hard, got the residency at Hotel Vegas, and we've like Erin said, played there before. And they're so what's nice, like you said, Dogg, it's East 6th, and while it's not in that district of 6 that everyone thinks about, if they know anything at all about the music scene here in Austin, it's nice to have that little offshoot. You're not in that crowd of people. You can actually park by the venue, and it gives you something to, hey, I'm just going to go off the beaten path and hear great live music, eat some great food, and then I can just walk back over, just across under the bridge. So we do love it there, and it sounds great in there. Everyone's and the vibe is good, and all the musicians are everyone's so great with each other, and so fun. Everybody stays for each other. It's great. We love it.
Yeah. The venue that's right across the street from it, what is that place called? Because I've seen our friends Tough on Fridays. Are you familiar with them? They're a girl band from one of those outside town Texas.
I'll have to look them up.
Yeah, Tough on Fridays. But yeah, the venue that's right next to Hotel Vegas on the corner there. What's that place called? Do you remember?
Well, the one that's right next to it is Volstead.
Volstead. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool spot. Yeah, they play in like the outside, like that little yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, then I wanted to talk about then some of the bands that I know that are from Austin, and then like your relationship with them. So like Bright Light Social Hour, we kind of mentioned that before. You guys are pretty familiar with them, or you've?
Oh yeah, Jackie and I have been texting today because we're working on a project together behind the scenes. But we played with them, and they're great.
Yeah. The Swift Drag, are you familiar with those guys?
No, I'll have to look them up.
Yeah, they're more like, I would say, like 90s, like kind of rock, more like heavier rock. But it's only two guys. It's a guitarist and a drummer.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
I'm looking at it now. We have some mutual friends, so
okay.
I'm sure we'll catch them soon enough.
Yeah. Obviously, West Texas Exiles. Those guys are. I think they're ready to blow up. I think they might be the next. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys at all, but man,
no. I mean, that sounds familiar. I mean, you cannot even begin to imagine the number of bands. Like, I know you think you can. I feel like I'm like the real world. You think you know, but you have no idea. It is so much. But go on.
Yeah, and then the last band, Me and Adam. Are you familiar with those guys? Austin band.
Looking them up as you talk, though.
Yeah, it's Me and then ND Adam.
Okay.
It's strange how they pronounce that, but yeah, those guys are really good.
I love learning about new local or new to me bands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay.
Austin bands, yeah.
Cool.
So are you guys familiar with the Under the Rock ATX? I think it's a studio, and I think they also do like performances there.
No.
I'll have to connect you to him. We again, mutual friends and stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff for local musicians and like unsigned bands.
I see my friend Courtney Santana doing a cover of Creep on their Instagram. That's cool.
There you go, Radiohead too, huh?
Yeah.
So let's get back to the debut album, because 10 songs, 34 minutes. How many songs did we have going in, and then to trim down to the 10, or did we have those 10?
Well, our goal for the next album is to write 20 and trim down to 10, or whatever the thing is. With the first one, I mean, I think Andrew and I each had like an enormous backlog of things. And so it was more about finding the pieces that would make the new incarnation of Parker Woodland. So it was less that we discarded a lot of songs that we wrote together, but more that we sifted through what we were bringing to the table to find what we thought this album should be.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So you released it in September. Now looking back on it, do you feel like that was a good time of year to do it, or would you have done it in a different time of the year maybe?
It's good for us. The teams that we worked with, I think they felt like we weighed the factors of when, we didn't want to release it in October or even late September, because all they'll be talking about is ACL Fest and who's coming for ACL Fest. So releasing it at the beginning of September, it's not the heat of summer anymore. Anyway, yeah, I think it was good. And what the goal that we had, or that I had in particular, was to have everything recorded by the end of the year 2023. Then we were mixing and mastering in January, February, because I wanted to have a fully mastered, and with artwork and everything, album to shop around at South by. And that did work for us because it gave us that to talk to people about. And then we ended up on our label to put it out. So that was something we really celebrated because, you can do it on your own. People do it all the time. But for me, I really like having a team.
So yeah, talk about that process of getting a record label and how like that conversation happened.
Well, it's a small label and it's very vinyl focused, although they do handle the digital distribution for us, which is great. That's, another thing I don't have to deal with myself. But Shannon Ryerson is the label head. It's his label. Some other bands that we're friends with are on that label, like the Stairs, the Wright Flyers, Daily Worker, a bunch of, just really a lot of bands with like Austin, like mainstays and legends in some cases. Mike Stewart, who produced Poi Dog Pondering and the Gourds, is on there, and a friend of ours. So anyway, it's been nice to be a part of that community. It happened because I actually officiated the wedding of a couple of Austin, Texas music super fans at ABGB a couple of years ago. And Mike McCoy, one of the guys on the artists on the label, he was like, Erin, you need to meet Shannon. He should put out your record. And this was about my previous EP for Parker Woodland. And so I met Shannon. We just stayed in touch. And again, like relationship, like I was saying, staying in touch with him. We played one of his kind of showcases where they have FLAC bands and friends of the label. And then when I reached out to various labels and friends, and, Shannon is also really justice minded and has the same values that we have. Like I would see him at shows wearing the Idols t-shirt that says "Bassists Against Racists." So like he had me at that shirt. But so yeah, it feels good to be part of a family, and it's small and we do a lot ourselves, but we no longer have to do everything ourselves, and that feels good.
Yeah. So with regards to like the social issues and everything that you guys stand for, how difficult is it being in a blue dot in a red state?
Keri, I'll let you take the start of
that. It has its challenges. The good part is we're in Austin. So it is, very encompassing. It's open armed. It's, you can be a lot more who you are. And when you feel it more is obviously when you go outside. So it's had its challenges. But we are very strong in the mission that we want to convey and the music, and that we want to reach everybody. And music is for everybody, right? It's not about, race, gender, class, anything like that. It is for everybody. And we want it to be for everybody. And we want to be a band that's what we convey. Is it's like, whether, you're having your darkest day or your best at ever, that we are here for you. We understand that. And, because we're not 20 years old anymore, we do have a lot of life experience behind us that we can fall back on. And with Erin, I think that comes across in her lyrics, how important these social issues and that kind of stuff is to her. And it's also important to Andrew and I. So this isn't just about, Erin's going to write what she wants to write, and doesn't matter what, we all agree. And it's like, oh man, she'll come up with some lyrics that just blow my mind. And it's, it's exactly what we want to say. It's to everybody, and to know that, music is a safe space. It's a safe place. and and we are too, right? So despite all the darkness, if you will, or the downside, we try to be that light. And because music is the way, that's my thinking. Music is the way, and music is the light. So that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, and I appreciate that Keri always articulates that. Like music is the way is one of Keri's kind of mantras right now. And one of the things for me, like when Keri and I playing in Butch County, which was a trans-led band, and that for a long time before even the political issues, because trans people have always been. And so it's become a politicized identity in recent years, but hasn't always been that way. But we would go and we would play on tour with that band. And we'd go in these like bars in small towns where people might not think that they wanted to see us. But then once the rock and roll takes over, the transformation and the just like joy from people, and then wanting to talk to the band afterwards and get to know you. And so we bring that experience into Parker Woodland, and Andrew and I talk a lot about even when something starts from a specific place where I want to think about like anti-racism, or I want to think about, a trans friend and what they've been through. What I want that writing to be authentic to the source material, the source person, the source story. And though I want it to be able to be felt by anyone. So like in Makeup, the line about, who you are, anyone can struggle, whatever your identity, cisgender, straight, white, black, like whatever your identity, you could struggle. It's a very human struggle to struggle with who you are and feeling accepted or feeling isolated or feeling lonely. And so we hope that the music gets written in such a way to both uplift people who are marginalized, but also inspire anyone to be their full selves, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very lucky because tomorrow night I'm going down to Philadelphia to see a band that I interviewed. They're called Thus Love. They're from Brattleboro, Vermont, which, as you can imagine, being a trans person in Brattleboro, Vermont, probably was not the easiest life growing up. And so, but yeah, so they're playing tomorrow night, so I'm going down to see them. But
cool. You said Thus Love.
Thus Love, yeah.
Cool.
Pop punk, a little more post punk, but
cool.
he has like the voice of he kind of sounds a little bit like Alex Turner from the Arctic Monkeys.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
So kind of has a little bit of a Brit kind of feel, but like they're from Vermont.
All right, cool. Well, I've just added like 5 bands to our Instagram followings.
It's what I do.
Thank you. I love that. People
love learning new stuff from new bands.
Well, ladies, this has been wonderful. I hope it has been as much fun as it is for you, as it has been for me. So thank you all so much. I cannot wait to see you guys in Austin. We got the hotel booked. We got the Turo booked. Just the flights have been a little out of control this year. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, always never had any issues with getting flights, but it's a little hairy this year. So we might have to fly into Houston or like San Antonio or something like that. But
yeah, that's not too bad. San Antonio is an hour and 15 from, so yeah, I like your creativity, Dogg. That's cool. Well, we love, getting to just reflect and think about music and get to know someone else who loves music. We love that so much. And Parker Woodland, I always say like, Parker Woodland loves you. We love you. We appreciate you. And can't wait to rock out together in person when you come to town.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dogg. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands like Parker Woodland. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dogg. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.